When you read about journalists, and particularly foreign correspondents, you get these stories of heroes and they're always amazing and they never get anything wrong. Well, it's not always like that. I worked for Reuters, the international news agency, and I remember in the mid 70s I was in Germany, I was in Frankfurt, and there were peace talks going on, led by Hosni Mubarak, the Egyptian president. And he flew into Frankfurt to talk to the German Chancellor, Helmut Kohl. And so, as a good journalist, I was sent to the airport to interview these two leaders to find out what was happening to the peace process at the time. And in those days, cameras weren't wireless. They had wires, and they had batteries in a big box at the end of the wire. And so we were all standing there, all the journalists, and waiting for these two leaders to come out from their meeting. And when they came out, it turned out that they weren't in the office we thought they were in. They were in another office further down the corridor, prompting a great sprint by all the journalists and all the cameramen. And as we ran down this corridor, one of the wires of a television camera wrapped round my legs and pulled tight. And the next thing I knew, I had crashed to the floor. I crashed and couldn't get my feet out. So I turned round and I suddenly saw that Chancellor Kohl and President Mubarak are both standing over me, looking down at this absolute idiot who's fallen over in front of them. So I thought, well, I've got to do my job. I've got to ask them questions. So I said, how's the peace talks going? How's it going? And they, in a rather bemused way, gave me an answer and then left on the plane while I extracted myself from the wires. And years later, my kids were asking me, what was it like to be a journalist? And I was telling them this story. And I thought, I'll just check a couple of the facts and the date, and looked it up on the internet. And there on the internet is the story that I wrote. No mention of falling over, no mention of lying in a heap on the ground, but very serious stuff about the peace process and what the two world leaders had said. And it all sounded so serious. So if you see serious journalists on television, don't believe them.